You've got Talk Erie on your radio, 105.9 WZTE, TalkErie.com, and we're live from our Kingdom Financial Group studio here. And our main conversation today is about how we're making tech move through the efforts of the Ben Franklin Technology Partners. And we've got a full house with us. To my left is Caleb Dawson. He is with Advanced Power and Energy. Hey, Caleb.
How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Doing well. And we've got Tim Reese from Power Innovations International. Hi, Tim.
How are you doing?
Great. And we've got Jeff Huey, Sales Director at Advanced Power and Energy. Good to see you, Jeff.
Thanks for having us today.
All righty. And in the background here, and I'm sure he'll grab a mic at some point, Brian Slaywin. He is with he's the Director and Portfolio Manager of the Ben Franklin Technology Partners. All right. You had a big announcement today at the Greater Erie Auto Auction out in the west side there. And that is about this mobile EV charging technology. And you unveiled this today in Erie. And so let's get started here with you, Jeff, in describing exactly what this technology is. And then, Tim, I want you to weigh in on this as well.
Sure.
So my dossier is 32 years in the car business, and I was working with Erie Auto Auction, who was struggling to charge many cars. Erie Auto Auction is owned by a corporation called Glovis International, which owns Hyundai and Kia.
Yeah,
And
that's a big deal.
This is a very big deal for the area. Mm-hmm. For a company of that size to invest in Erie, Pennsylvania, tells us that this is one of many. And we were fortunate enough to meet MJ today from Glovis, who oversees the functionality of that auction, and we're going to have dinner with her shortly. So Ryan Russell, the general manager, and I have been friends for years, and we were having conversations about struggling charging EV cars, and I was able to
So these cars are coming off of, what, the carriers dead as a doornail, basically?
Probably 5-8%.
Okay.
So they bring them in and plug them into a regular 110 outlet, and they got to be on the charger for 24 hours.
Okay.
So
that's really efficient.
Yeah. I'd like to see that electric bill. So,
right.
So Tim and I got together months ago, and they presented this product to me, and I said, let's take this to market. Let's bring it to Erie Auto Auction. Let's unveil it. They're charging a car now with this charger anywhere 18 to 20 minutes to what they need. And right now, I think there's roughly 100 of them sitting there that need charged. So the technology that they've created, we looked at a lot of different manufacturers, but we felt that this company it's built in the U.S. and the quality's there. It has a fleet application as well. This is just one of many ideas that we have.
So Tim, I want to ask you again, our reference point for Tesla superchargers are these big pillars that you find in Erie. It's at the hotels, right? At the Hilton Hotel. Big deals. You've somehow made this a smaller ability, but it's also this super speed charging kind of thing, or tell us about the differences and the similarities to what we're accustomed to with EV charging.
Right. So there's really two different versions of charging. There's charging at your home, which is called level 2. And that's basically an AC source, like your dryer source, and you're putting AC into the vehicle. What that has to do is go through what they call an onboard charger. It's very inefficient. You can only maximum get about 19.2 kilowatts going into the vehicle. So it takes a long amount of time to charge. What then the secondary portion and what Tesla does and that Power Innovations does is we build a product that's a DC level 3 fast charger. And there's a lot of different kilowatt levels that you can do. From 30 kilowatts up to 350 kilowatts. There's not a lot of cars that can take a full 350 kilowatts, but as the U.S. always does, bigger is better.
Yeah.
So
I thought our transmitters were big when they had a constant demand of 10 kilowatts.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, a big FM transmitter,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. So these DC fast chargers actually bypass the onboard charger. So you don't lose efficiency. You're going directly into the vehicle's battery.
Okay.
So you can put more power directly into the vehicle battery because you're not going through that onboard charger. So you can charge at a lot faster rates. And like Jeff was talking about, that a regular level 2 charger, you're on that thing for 24 hours to charge it because you're going through all the OBC. But with the level 3 stuff, you go directly to the battery. Glovis or Greater Area Auction can get a vehicle to that 30% that is needed in about 20 minutes. So you can move more vehicles, you can charge more vehicles faster, and for an auction, hugely important.
Yeah, it'd be like filling up the auction car, the gas car, to about a quarter of a tank, right?
That's correct. That's correct.
So I mean, again, and that's what you want when you're showing the car, and then whoever's buying it at auction puts it on their carrier, and away you go.
That's correct.
So when did this idea bubble up? Has it been around for a while?
So the whole DC charging aspect has been around for a while. Tesla has been really the benchmark.
Okay.
Because of reliability. But Tesla also had an advantage. They had one vehicle type, a Tesla, and it always worked with Tesla supercharger. So they had this really high bar of reliability that was very hard to get to. And now you've got a lot more vehicles coming out. It's gotten to a place where EV adoption is still on the rise. Everybody will say, "Oh, well, EV is waning." Well, it's catching up.
Yeah.
I think everybody jumped into sort of the EV market a little blind, if you would. It was, all right, everybody's got to go EV. But the technology is now catching up for charging, for vehicle interoperability, for the ability to charge with a mobile unit. And our big differentiator with the product that we brought out with AP&E is we're not reliant on a 480 volt 3-phase input, which most EV chargers out there are. Our unit will take a 240 single phase at a lower kilowatt level, a 208 243 phase up to 180 kilowatts, or you can go in with a 480Y if you have that. So we give a much more flexible aspect to getting an EV charger in the ground or rolling around a fleet or an auto auction much easier than a lot of the other manufacturers out there.
I just got to say, I'm like totally incredulous of the kind of numbers that you're talking about. 480 volt service. You mentioned it off air. People can't get that.
No.
The grid is barely ready for that. I'm wondering how many 480 services are in the downtown core here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Probably not many.
Yeah. And it is probably not a lot. And that's where we can come in, as long as the building or facility has enough 240 power already, you can hook up to that infrastructure without putting a step-up transformer in, which can cost you $10,000 or $15,000 more than the actual charger.
Yeah.
And get up and running very quickly with a lot less infrastructure.
Do you think that a possibility? I'll ask Caleb this. Do you think there's a possibility for this technology to come to a place where the corner lot, the dude with a dozen cars on his lot, which maybe he wants to specialize in EVs, for example, that he could have one of these so that he's keeping things moving as he's showing his cars.
Absolutely. I mean, this gives the opportunity for level 3 fast charging without a stationary unit like we were talking about that is usually at least triple the price of what this mobile unit is. So a lot of municipalities and I guess deeper pockets have the opportunity to put a stationary unit in and then charge the public or charge others for fueling their vehicles with the energy. But if it's just for personal use or inside of a shop, auto auction, things like that,
Right.
this is the winner.
What the other element that occurs to me, Tim, is that you've got different kinds of connections. How do you get around all of that? Tesla versus GM versus Ford and all that stuff.
Great question. So, what you see happening now is the main U.S. connection before Tesla really put it out on the open market was what's called CCS1 protocol. So it's the connector piece that plugs into the vehicle. What you've got now is the Tesla connector coming out. It's called NACS or NACS. So there's a couple of ways to get around it. We can do a NACS connector on our charger. We can do a CCS1 on the charger. You can always use adapters if you had a CCS1 to a NACS connector. So that aspect is pretty easily
It's kind of
overcome.
it's working itself out.
Yes, and GM.
I mean, this sounds like VCR and Betamax to me. I'm an old fogey, but that's what I remember. The
No.
two tape machines,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, you're exactly spot on with that. And NACS is now seeming to kind of take over from CCS1.
Okay.
So GM, Ford, most of the big auto dealers, 2025, 2026,
Yeah.
they're either going to have dual ported vehicles with a CCS1 and NACS, or just go to a single NACS connector on the vehicles to make that interoperability, the charging ease of, hey, I can pull up to any charging station, not have to worry about it.
EVs are not just in our future; EVs are in our now, and these folks here have come up with some solutions to make life work in the automotive industry. That's why we're talking about it, and how technology is happening here in Crawford County, in our neck of the woods. And so we're going to find out more about it. You're tuned to Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show. kind of investigating the jobs of today and tomorrow, and they're centering around high tech and energy. These are really important conversations to have. We have Caleb and Jeff and Tim here with us as we talk about this big announcement today of a groundbreaking mobile charging unit for electrical vehicle and industrial applications. It is the Advanced Power and Energy, which is based in Crawford County, in partnership with Power Innovations International. So this product makes the latest step in the region's leadership in progressive energy solutions, offering businesses a versatile mobile charging option designed to meet the evolving demands of the modern world. You know, with electric vehicles, we're talking about huge amounts of voltage or something. Do you see that eventually we want to charge, I don't know, electronics or phones or something at a much lower voltage level? Talk about that.
So the big difference between, say, a standard iPhone, you usually only need about 5 volts of power, to charge that iPhone 16, 15, whatever you're working with. Electric vehicles use either a 400 volt or 800 volt battery pack. So much bigger, battery systems. And that's what's, talking about technology, the battery technology is getting so much better. You're getting more range from your EV vehicle. Right. That's where the adoption is going to come into real play right now. Everybody talks about range anxiety. Mm-hmm. But now you've got vehicles with these larger battery packs that you can go 350. They're working to 400 miles on a single charge.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's a different, very different than your iPhone, voltage-wise, your laptop computer. So you're dealing with a lot more power and energy that you're transferring into that battery.
So, you guys were involved with at APE. Tim, Jeff, you were involved with the Ben Franklin Technology Partners. Talk a little bit about that relationship and how they helped kind of grow your business there.
So I was introduced to Brian at the Mercer event roughly 3 months ago, and we had not met prior to that. He's been working with George and Tom for roughly 2.5 years. Yep. And we had some nice conversation about why I was there and what I intended to try and do for AP&E. Brian has been extremely instrumental with having such an open mind about bringing technology like this to the area with the public resisting it. And I think that we're gonna try and overcome the resistance. I think that through education,
the resistance is on the actual existence of EVs. Where's the resistance?
The consumer's resistance to take a chance and buy an EV because of range anxiety.
Yeah.
They want to be able to pull up at the filling station and put gas in their car, and you don't have those. You don't have that ability with EV yet, but that adoption is going to occur. It will happen over time, and things will get easier.
I know. What was it? The bipartisan infrastructure bill has a lot of money for electric vehicle charging. Do you have any thoughts on why that is not getting out there faster, do you think?
I think, again, there's a resistance to move things along quicker. We are working with quite a few people in Western Pennsylvania that have the idea and want to install charging along the 80 corridors.
Okay.
That will be something that will happen throughout 2025.
How many chargers are in Crawford County, do you know?
I do not know the total number off the top of my head.
Yeah, I just wondering, like an area like Meadville, I-79.
I know that if you wanted to drive an EV from Erie Auto Auction to AP&E, you're going to pass 3 chargers.
Okay.
And 2 of them are level 2s. And if you were at 10 or 15%, you're going to be sitting there most of the day.
Wow.
Okay, so we have a lot of work to do.
It sounds like it. You want to weigh in on this? Yeah.
Yeah, I think with the NEVI program, it was thrown out a little.
Is that the
bit.
national program?
Correct.
Okay.
So
yeah.
that's the NEVI is what they call the Bipartisan Infrastructure
Right.
Act. So when they put that into effect, I don't think it was thought out enough.
Yeah, I think we had one announcement in Erie County. It was out of the TA in Harbor Creek exit, right? You
Right.
know.
Yeah.
I mean, we're very there's it's 280,000 people in this county, right? So.
Right. And it's starting to pick up a lot more traction, a lot better traction. The money's starting to flow a lot more.
Okay.
So you will see a lot more of these corridor projects really get funded and start to take off.
Right. Because, the adoption rate in larger markets, in a Buffalo, in a Pittsburgh, in a Philly, is much higher than
Yes.
you're going to have in the smaller markets, especially up in the snow belt up here. I mean, there's just a lot more skepticism.
Right.
But we have auto clients that every one of them has superchargers. You
Yeah.
know. And so I think they're either level 2 or level 3 chargers. So I mean it's real and it's here.
It is, and I don't, with all the political talk back
Yeah.
and forth, there's no way of stopping it now.
No.
It's out.
Nor should it be, because
No.
it's a personal choice situation.
Correct.
We've got to take our bottom of the hour break. We're going to talk more about this and again what this might indicate for more high tech in Erie County, in the Northwest PA region. You are tuned to Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show. Tuck Erie and the Joel Natale Show. We are live from our Kingdom Financial Group studio here, having kind of a technology and automotive industry. And in fact, coming up here in a little bit, we're going to hear from our Tuesday autofocus with Mike Paris here. He's talking about some like a Ford Dodge Dart hybrid. We're going to be talking about that in a little bit. I want to bring in from the Ben Franklin Technology Partners to join our conversation here, the director and portfolio manager, Brian Slaywin. And again, we talk a lot about jobs and moving high tech forward. Can you talk about this strategic partnership between Advanced Power and Energy, based in Crawford County, and Power Innovations International, who are creating this new product here?
Well, and the Greater Erie Auto Auction, which is where this announcement today of this mobile powering system was created. They're really building something that I refer to, the industry refers to it as charging as a service, right? So you have software as a service, food delivery as a service. This is charging as a service. So you want to bring the charging to the vehicle that needs it and do so quickly so that they can move the car from their indoor to their outdoor and get all the financial paperwork taken care of. This is, as Tim was talking about earlier, this is EV is here to stay. Right. It is challenged a little bit by consumer acceptance because of range anxiety and some of the other, ROI issues that you have when you switch from, you've been driving since you were 16 sure. and you know how to go get gas right? But this is different now. So now you can charge it in your garage at night. Now you can, hopefully, charge it on the parking lot at your job, on the street here. So
or at the beach, right? At Beach 10, right?
We have those at the beach. Yeah. So I think there's a real opportunity. EV is not going away. The newer, more sustainable, more interesting ways of getting power to you and back up to the grid. Super great opportunity for, innovation and jobs creation and entrepreneurism throughout Northwest PA and frankly all of the Commonwealth.
And so when you guys are deciding to make these big bets, because you made a pretty significant bet here,
yes, you have.
You're looking at the trajectory of this technology, and you're seeing green lights.
Yeah. Well, it's always the team. So it's the founders and who they wrap around them.
The personnel
it's always
make a big impact.
Huge. It's always, we look there first. And then based on what they're telling us, we then look at, okay, well, is this market what they're actually saying? Mm-hmm. So we believe, even though, Hertz had some issues, and there's some other companies and rental companies that have had some issues, we believe this is here to stay. Yeah. Now, not only for autos, but broadly, right? You could put a solar cell or a solar, what you call them, the thing on your roof. You
right.
could solar, right? You could do that today.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
And you could, given the right scenario, actually be making money by putting power back into the grid. Right. A lot of the electric companies have gone to a displaced model, where they're not the only generator of power. Mm-hmm. They're actually moving towards a distribution model where give us all the power from all the places and we'll send it out and get paid for that. Yep. So that's a really interesting opportunity that we see. Again, companies like Advanced Power and Energy are starting to take advantage of what's new, what's sustainable, what's innovative about energy, power generation, and distribution. And that's where we're putting our capital.
Let's talk to Jeff here, because I feel like you had to have the confidence in Ben Franklin to kind of pull this together, right? I mean,
it was a confidence in Ben Franklin, a confidence in George and Tom, the co-founders of AP&E, to really listen to me and believe that I could do this. Again, had I not met Tim, I'm not sure I could have pulled this off this year. I'm not sure we'd be sitting here. But George and Tom flew me out to Las Vegas to the ACT show, which is where I met these guys.
What does that stand for?
Caleb, why don't you talk about the show?
ACT?
Yes.
ACT is every year.
What does that stand for?
Advanced Clean Technology.
Okay.
And
So it's pretty broad.
yeah, and it's large. It's all the big players are involved with
Yeah.
ACT, from manufacturers, vehicle manufacturers, to charging manufacturers.
Yeah.
Volvo, Daimler, everybody who's involved with electrification is involved in that event. It was in Vegas this year. It's moving back to Anaheim
Correct.
next year. But it's just an opportunity to get all the players under one roof and hear about what's happening around the country with electrification. And we had the opportunity to run into PI&I and find out some of the technology that they had in their R&D department. And Jeff had the idea to latch on and hear more about what they were creating, and we found some common ground to spread this product across the country. I mean, PI&I is based on the West Coast,
Right.
and one of the big ideas here was how can we involve their technology and bring it from west to east and sort of fill the gap of electrification that's in the northeast of this country.
Explain that what you're calling the gap. You're saying charging stations are lower in this part of the country than, let's say, in LA, or is that what we're talking about here?
Absolutely.
All right,
Yeah.
so
especially on the West Coast. I mean,
Yeah.
the push for electrification of all kinds was a lot more predominant.
You just got that vision of, in Orange County, it's full of electric Priuses, right? Or something.
Yeah.
I think it's Teslas.
Is it
Yeah.
Teslas? Is it
Yeah.
Teslas?
Yeah.
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 I mean, we make a big deal when we see a Cybertruck going down State Street in Erie, right? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I think there might be two
Uh-huh.
in Erie, Pennsylvania. But I mean,
Yeah.
it's not as ubiquitous as it would be in LA or Southern California, right?
Even when you pull up charging maps
Yeah.
on the West Coast, I mean, there's thousands of charging stations.
Mm-hmm.
Anywhere you need to charge, you can get it done. And like we were talking about earlier, if you had got to go from Erie to Greenville, or God forbid Erie to Pittsburgh, you could get stuck in between on that trip. So we're trying to bridge that gap.
Well, I'm really concerned. I mean, I feel like this is such, making this a mobile type of thing, and if it was able ever to be self-contained, I mean, I'm thinking about those 4 lanes of, stop and go traffic coming out of Tampa right now, trying to evacuate.
Correct.
How many of those are EVs, and how many will lose power because, you know what, maybe power was intermittent because it's been raining there for a couple days already. I mean, this is life and death for some situations here.
It's a real issue, and when you have natural disasters like we just witnessed, it becomes more apparent that we need to do something about it. His company's developing technology that we might be able to actually put on a trailer and transport to people in North Carolina in this situation and provide them power.
Wow.
Those products are going to come. Advanced Power and Energy is going to make them. We're going to market them with the help of PI&I.
Tell me about the batteries themselves. There's a project at Penn State Barron that Brian's aware of. Project Resolve. They're trying to come up with high capacity batteries. Is the battery tech? You said the battery technology is getting better.
It is.
But I mean, are we gonna? What's like the end game for that? You think? I mean,
Well, I think what really the end game for batteries or BESS systems are, it's microgrids. So microgrids have the ability, just like we were talking about with a Ford Lightning, to put energy back on the grid.
wow.
So instead of straining the grid more, you can actually supplement the grid.
Right.
So, you think about when you hear about all about the California brownouts and rolling blackouts when it's hot and everybody's using your air conditioner. Well, you will be able to have the ability to sell that energy, hopefully at some time, back from your electric vehicle to supplement the grid. So you get rid of a lot of that grid strain, a lot of that grid stress, and it's a much better way to go about it. The other things that we've been working on is using a lot more of the greener technology.
Right.
So solar.
Yeah.
Having the ability to actually use a solar panel to run your DC charger. Now, you need a battery system to supplement that because it's not always sunny. But those are the kind of things we're looking at. We're actually dealing with another company that is doing a hydrogen fuel cell. So you could run a DC fast charger off a hydrogen fuel cell. So when they talk about, okay, getting a full corridor with DC fast charging, some of those places have zero electricity. So if you can put a hydrogen fuel cell with a hydrogen fuel tank,
Does that technology exist?
we build it. We have a mobile charger that we have partnered with a couple of hydrogen fuel cell manufacturers that they are actually taking one of those chargers on the road right now that is driven by a hydrogen fuel cell.
So it'd be hydrogen to feed electricity. This is fascinating.
Correct. Yep. And the other aspect you can do with it, which is another big thing in the overall power generation industry, is getting rid of all the diesel generators.
Right.
So you could do a AC generator set using a hydrogen fuel system to get rid of diesel.
All right. We talk a lot about economic development and jobs and things, and I want you each to weigh in on, what you see are, employment opportunities and what kind of workforce will you need and what kind of jobs we could develop. I'm going to start with you, Caleb. You're the young guy. You got a gig right out of college in this high-tech world, right? I mean,
it's a high-tech world, but we were talking earlier today, it's the fastest and slowest moving industry you can be a part of.
it's a paradox and an enigma all rolled up into
all
one.
You have new technologies and innovations every day, it seems like, but the partners and people that need to make that happen are hesitant. And we sort of feel that struggle.
Well, you have this huge legacy, of a utility that's built their infrastructure over a decade or a century or more, right?
Especially in this area.
Sure.
We
in Crawford County started rural electric co-op, right? That's how long we're talking here, you know?
Yeah, and you're going to need people to hop on board and understand that the energy moving forward has to be diversified.
Yeah.
And that's the big push, is we're not going to be able to make it the whole way possibly to an electric system, but we're going to have to find a way to be able to couple that and to use the resources around us to diversify and strengthen our infrastructure.
So one of the big challenges is you've got to have people who know how to do this or repair it or install it or put it. So Advanced Power and Energy, Jeff, talk a little bit about the relationship that you're creating to support all of these installs and all of this new tech.
So along with the idea of the mobile charger, bringing it to market, eventually it's going to break and you need somebody to repair it, right? So another relationship that I was introduced to with AP&E is Laurel Tech. And Laurel Tech actually is coming to AP&E tomorrow morning to meet with Tim Rees from PI&I and also Brian. And we're actually going to offer Laurel Tech a charger to start a program to where they can, I've given them a couple ideas to create a curriculum to develop charger repair people. It's going to be a necessity. They're doing it in the South and out West, and I don't know of anybody that's done it around here. And again, we want to be innovative. We want to get ahead of it.
Yeah.
And Laurel Tech wants to come on board and be a part of it.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, okay, when the Tesla supercharger goes down, are they hauling somebody in from Cleveland to fix that? More than likely, yes.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Weigh in on this workforce, jobs availability, economic impact.
So I think what the economic impact for just the overall electrification, it is like Jeff was speaking about. You're going to need people to be able to work on these electric vehicles, work on these electric chargers. you know, installers, service people, and just really it becomes an ecosystem in its own of bringing new jobs, new types of jobs. You know, even with AP&E on talking about doing battery trailers, you know, they would use our power electronics, but use their battery system and build that entire trailer. So you're going to need a workforce for that. So it is trying to bring in new jobs and bring in new people and new ideas to the area to enhance, you know, greater area, if you will.
Yeah. It interests me in the concept of we've got a lot of adoption on solar panels. People are my friend that runs Solar Revolution. I mean, he's booked forever, right? So you could have your whole house solar panel thing going on, and you could own one of these EVs, charge it yourself. Basically, you're at zero cost at this point. The question is now, can you get to the level where you're starting to sell back and you're on a net plus? I mean, that would be,
and
it's kind of far-fetched, I guess.
Well,
but,
no, it's not. It's actually not far-fetched at all. It is just, you know, in my opinion, getting through the red tape of all the politics of each different electric company. When you're selling back power to them, the inverter is what does the AC back to the grid.
Got it.
Every power company that you would want to use your inverter on, you have to get approved by each one.
Oh, okay.
How many power companies are around the whole United States?
Yeah.
So there needs to just be more collaboration, I think, with the power companies, with, you know, governmental standards possibly that says, okay, this inverter can be used on everybody's
Well,
grid.
it makes me wonder too if we're going to get to a point where we're going to have like we have a whole house generator. Will we have whole house batteries so that whatever you're creating on your solar panels or your windmill, you're keeping, and then you're charging your other stuff?
And they do have those already.
Okay.
So Tesla makes one that's called a Powerwall, where you can take your solar, charge your batteries, and if you never have to use power, you never have to use it, or you can use it in an emergency backup situation where if your power goes down, you disconnect from the grid, use your power from your batteries, you can run your house for a couple days.
Pretty remarkable. Again, it's a brave new world, and we congratulate you on this big announcement. Advanced Power and Energy Partners with Power Innovations International to launch an innovative mobile EV charging technology, and at the Greater Erie Auto Auction, and with support from the Ben Franklin Technology Partners. I want to thank Caleb Dawson, Jeff Huey, Tim Rees, and of course our buddy Brian Slaywin. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity.
It is 4:53 on Talk Erie.